Okay, good morning, everyone. It is Friday, May 30th at 9:02 a.m. This is the Contract Review Committee. We are doing this meeting in a hybrid fashion. Jericho is in the trailer and the rest of us are remote. I am Veronica Bolchik, Chair, and let's establish a quorum. So we've got, I'm going to need some help here because I don't see everyone, but I do believe we've got Linda Williams on,
Aye.
John Balash,
Aye.
Sue Minthinen,
Present.
myself, Veronica Bolchik, and Joanna will be joining us and we'll announce when she does come in. So from the administration, we have Jericho Melee with us today.
In attendance, one member.
And we understand that Lexi is out today, so he is double duty there. Do we have any members of the public? I cannot see. So
We
Jericho, can
do.
you help?
We do. We have Lauren from Fairwinds.
Okay, thank you for joining us today, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So can I have an acceptance?
Sorry, briefly, we also have Joanna, I believe, just hopped in.
Okay, and Joanna Roach is with us. Okay, so we do have a quorum for sure. All right, can I have someone make a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right. Okay, by roll call, since we are doing this in a hybrid fashion, Linda Williams,
Aye.
John Balash,
Aye.
Sue Minthinen,
Aye.
Joanna Roach,
Aye.
and myself, Veronica. So we have an agenda. We have minutes from April 25th, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, so we have Sue
Second.
first and John second. So by roll call, Linda,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
and myself. Thank you. I very much appreciate the job that Lexi does in producing on time and accurate minutes. So I just wanted to thank her in absentia. All right. Any public comment this morning? Lauren, would you like to say anything since you are a public?
I don't have a public comment. I'm just here to stay informed on Nantucket organizations. So
Okay,
nothing
well,
for me
thank
for
you.
now.
Thank you for joining us at 9 o'clock on Friday morning. All right. So we're on to item number 6, which is fiscal year 26 Human Services Grant, including the announcement to the recipients, the contract, save the date for Friday, September 12th, 25 award presentation. At our last meeting, we discussed doing a award presentation as part of our efforts to basically announce and better public relations and just awareness of what we do and what the town does. So just reviewing my notes, Joanna, I think you kindly offered Mariah Mitchell.
Yep.
And we would do it between 10 and noon on that Friday morning.
Yes.
And we were going to approach Lemon Press to see if we could get their, I'm not sure what, like breakfast boxes or,
Yeah.
okay. So Jericho, are you doing that?
I can sort that out.
Okay, thank you. All right, we do have enough time. So we did want to send a save the date, but I think that I'm going to jump ahead to just the contracts. So Jericho, that is right now in your on your list of things to do.
So the grant agreements for fiscal year 26 should be done, if not, but probably not today, but by Monday. I've got I'm through all of the human services grants. I did want to take a second to mention that it might be interesting so we've had questions we'd like answered in the reporting. And I'm doing the reporting terms right now. So I was wondering if how much input you guys would like in there. If there's any specific questions about the quarterly reporting for each of the particular contracts that you'd like me to focus on, but I'm not sure the best way to get input on that. Like, I can send around all of the reporting terms, but I don't know how effective that's going to be for feedback.
Okay. If I can make a suggestion, I know that we are having a meeting next Friday morning. Would you be able to get to us before next Friday morning, outline of what you were suggesting? And then we can review that in advance and then add anything in and have it finalized next Friday morning. And I think that is in good timing for you with getting
Oh, yeah.
correct. Okay.
That would be significant. That'd still be significantly earlier than we've done in the last couple of years. So I would appreciate that, to be totally honest.
Okay. And the other thing that I know has been a question is it's very important what the description of what we are giving the money for. And that is part of the contract. And I don't know if you have done up those descriptions yet.
I have not use reserved the money except for cases that there were explicit directions on separating single, like if we had said X amount to this purpose and Y amount to the other purpose. In general, I try to be focused on the specific use cases when there's an established precedent for different uses. So for example, Fairwinds will often have a translation line and a therapy line, and in previous years, this is a different grant for them. So we would be only focused on the use cases for, like, if there's a difference between the two of them that's clearly established in the bid, or not the bid, in the grant proposal. So for example, on just because it's fresh in my mind, on the addiction solutions one from this one, there's no clear delineation on how much money is going to each purpose. So unless that's part of the bid or unless it's explicitly stated, I tend to be moderately expansive on that.
Okay. I know that in the report that we prepared for finance in the town, we did include a description, and it was a condensed description. So we can maybe look at that and see if we need to expand anything in there with each of these. So those are the 2 points that I think that I had, for.
And let me briefly clarify on that last point. Like, the program name and purpose is the designated use of the fund. If there's multiple parts to the grant, then I would separate them into different use cases and allocate money for them. So it's not they definitely have basically a slightly tightened up or slightly varied version of what we put in the report is already in those, describing what the purpose of the program is. And if there's multiple parts to the program, that's when I would add. So like, for example, we had for last year's Interfaith Council, we had one for food, fuel, and rental, one for utility relief, and one for overnight shelter. And those were split use case wise so that money would go to the use that we asked for. Did I make sense there? I'm still onboarding coffee.
Yeah, I think it does make sense. Any comments from the committee? So I realize I've monopolized this conversation. I apologize.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay. I think if I could go back to, we met the day before or right before our town meeting. That sort of focused a lot for me. Us doing better advertising, better public relations or whatever, not that everyone will read or will look at, but I think that it's our responsibility to do that. When our warrant was called, I took a deep breath and I thank you, Linda, and thank you, Jericho, for supporting, what we are doing. But it just said to me, I know the naysayers are always going to be the naysayers, but if people don't know what we're doing, they will have questions, and we don't want people to have questions. We want people to be supportive. So the more that we can do, I think it's the better. So it's all wrapped up into the same conversation,
And to that end, we've restarted started and restarted the social media for the health departments, the Health and Human Services Department specifically. Part of the agreement that I'm putting together is going to be to follow us, and then as part of the reporting process, to potentially offer us information that we can turn into stories, web pages, and that kind of thing, to make it easier for us to share the successes and what exactly we're using this money for.
Exactly. And also by doing that, hopefully there's more participation in the programs that we are funding. So if people don't know about them, they're not going to participate. So it's a win-win all the way around. So thank you. So for next, you will get some information to us before next Friday, and that is on the quarterlies.
The reporting terms specifically would be really helpful, because I know we've asked questions. So when I do the reporting terms, I usually use the reporting terms from the previous year plus anything that came up during conversation or discussion over the course of the year or during the grant bid or the grant determination process. So that is usually good, but it's nice to have, because we've had stuff that we've been like, what about this? The other thing for this year is that I'm going to be trying to collect that reporting data in a manner that's going to let me use it in some way. Currently we have all of the reporting data and all of the invoicing data, but they're just PDFs that are scanned from paper or PDFs that are submitted. To get that data to start analyzing anything would be more time consuming than it's worthwhile. So what I'm going to try and do now is try and collect that data either as an Excel spreadsheet, as an online web form, something that I can then use to start building out amounts of use, and then try and figure out if there are ways we can use that to determine needs or to determine where we have gaps, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right. Anything else with regard to this agenda item? Okay. With none, we'll move on to the opiate grants, which we received in our packet this week. So we had, I guess, 2 under the treatment and 3 under prevention. So the idea is, I think, because this is relatively, it's a new grant, of course, and we have very few. If we can just invite everyone to do interviews, and if we can do that next Friday, do you think that would be possible? And I know that we haven't had a chance to put together questions or whatever, but I think just a general overview, if we can inform the applicants we just want to have a meet and greet with them, and we may have some questions as they present, but we don't have the specific questions right now to give to them. But would that be agreeable with the committee?
Mhm.
All right. And Jericho, do you think that, there's only 5 applicants here? I know that Lexi is out, but would you be able to just send an email to them today?
Yeah. I will. I think we can definitely send that out today. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then if you guys have questions that occur to you beforehand, as much early warning as possible is good. But I think that, I'll ask for a 5-minute presentation with the idea, what your program is, and like make your case. And then I'm pretty sure knowing us, we will all have a variety of questions that will arise from that.
Okay. Alrighty, so if we can get that done next Friday, that would be wonderful. And with 5 minutes, or if you say 10 minutes for each, there's only 5, so that will be the first half of our meeting, and then we can continue on with other subjects for that meeting next Friday. And potentially, I don't know if when we will be able to deliberate, because we do need a rubric for this, correct?
The rubric is the same general categories as we're getting the infinity screen effect. The rubric is the same. The rubric that is in the RFP is the same one as the substance misuse grant rubric. So we rank it according to the same scale and the same values.
Okay. But typically what we do is we would do the rubric after the interviews. So I don't think we will be able to, we'll do interviews on Friday, and then we are going to need a meeting after that to deliberate.
Yes. Sorry.
So I know that when we were at our last meeting, the 13th was a hard no for some individuals. So on the agenda, I threw out potential for the 10th or the 11th at 9 a.m., which is not our typical Friday morning. Or could we wait? I'm just pulling up my calendar, I'm sorry. The next Friday morning would be the 20th. Is that timing okay if everyone is available on the morning of the 20th? That's our Friday morning. The
Mhm.
I know that
That's a no-go date for me, and that whole week of the 9th is no.
the week of the 9th, but how
Yeah,
about the 20th? If we do
20th is
deliver,
a no,
oh, the 20th is a no, and the week of the 9th is a no for you also.
correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
When is the deadline? When should we get this done, Jericho?
Ideally, it would be before the turn of the fiscal year on June 30th, but because this isn't money that needs to be allocated, it's money that is sitting in a functionally a grant account that's collected and distributed to the town already. We don't need to have the only penalty for us the later we get is that we won't be programs won't be able to start using funding until until we make a decision, more or less.
Okay, so if we don't meet until June 27th, which would be the next Friday, would that work? And
Yes.
is June 27th at 9 a.m. okay for everyone?
I'm kind of a question mark. I'm going to be out of town and I'm not exactly sure of my schedule. If I can make it, I'll try, but otherwise, I just don't know.
Okay. John and Linda, would June 27th at 9 a.m. be okay for you? And Sue?
Yeah, 27th's fine for me.
No, the 27th does not work for me. What, at 9 o'clock for how long? Hold on.
Would be deliberations on these open grants, so we could.
My son and I are involved with the film festival, and that's right in the middle of the film festival, so I can't tell you right now if 9 o'clock works. But if everybody else can do it at 9, go ahead.
Right,
It
well,
would- It would be brief though, because we would essentially be so we don't need to deliberate on values. We just need to pick the one for each
Hold on 1
category.
second. Hold on. All right, so 9 o'clock on the 27th?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll make it brief. And Joanna, if it's possible for you to join us, that would be great, but I certainly understand. Okay, so our next meeting will be, we have a meeting next Friday, which is the 6th, which will be for interviews, and then June 27th for deliberation. Okay. Alrighty. Any other questions in that category? Comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes?
Just, we'll need to get an agenda together for that, for the June 6th one by Tuesday. I think you could
I can do
basically
that.
swap serial numbers off of this one and then just send it, and we'll get it posted on Monday.
Okay, I will do that over the weekend, so it'll be there Monday morning. All right. Next item on the agenda is the status of the Human Services Needs Assessment. If you can give us a update on that.
Yep, we had 11 submissions. They were boiled down to four finalists. We're doing interviews with them on, I want to say, the 5th of June. After which we'll have a decision and we will, ink up the contracts and start the project launch, which means that we will have all things go according to plan, knock on wood, then we will have a decision by the first week of June. All of the timelines suggested, all of the bid timelines suggested that we'll start doing launch meetings and kind of value setting over the summer. Then the focus groups would be beginning in about 2 months after contract start, which means that that's when they would be contacting you guys to get stakeholder groups together to start doing more focus groups. And then the survey instrument will go out, depends on the plan, but not in time for us to write the grants this year. Preliminary results may come in while we're doing deliberations. But we will have the historic data, which is going to get some historic analysis. We're going to have regional benchmarking. And then depending upon the bid, there's other services or analysis that are offered by the different agencies that might be helpful for us next year. Unfortunately, it's not going to be soon enough for us to get the RFP and the whatever allocation we want for this grant cycle, unfortunately.
Okay. So we're basically going to continue as we have this next grant cycle.
Hopefully, we will have more, we should have the historical and regional benchmarks by the time we start the grant process this year. So when we're building what we're asking for grants, and if we're deciding on subcategories inside the human services amount, then we'll have some additional information, but we're not going to have the locally collected primary data.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for that update. Any comments? Okay, with none, then we will go on to the next. When we prepared this agenda last week, I had put review of a letter to the town manager and select board for funding increase, and I have not had a chance all week to talk with Jericho to do this. So I assume that is going to have to hold for our next meeting, or and what would be the time frame for that? I assume we're waiting till July 1st before that would be submitted.
Sorry, just had someone come in and looking for there's a dental clinic going on next door, so someone went to the let me could you repeat the question, please? Sorry.
Okay, it is with regard to we were supposed to review a letter today, and I haven't had a chance to, I apologize, to get with Jericho this week on doing that. So can we just take that and move it to our next agenda possibly? And I assume that the letter would have to be ready after July 1. We will do that.
And I had a brief, I ran into Libby she was passing through the office the other day, and I chatted with her about this, and she was like, sooner is better on that. But as long as we have a well-formed letter delivered to her and to then on to the select board, as long as we get it in by like midsummer, basically, that's when the determination for funding values will be made and we'll get the official amounts therein. Therein. I need more coffee.
We will move that to a future agenda then. And I think the last meeting, we had some very good discussion on the, and they were included in minutes, so we have a place to start with that letter, but the letter will be reviewed and commented and corrected before it's by the committee before it is sent, so we do have time on that. Next item is new business. One thing, does anyone have any comments on new business? All right. I have some comments, I'm sorry. So the applications for open positions, they were due, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, maybe today or so, maybe 3 weeks. And the applicants have been presented, on the select board agenda. And unfortunately, we did not have an applicant for the at-large that is open on contract review. I had lengthy conversations with 2 people, and I am disappointed that we did not get one of those 2 at least to apply. And I realize that there are a number of open positions that there weren't applicants for with committees, but we do need to get somebody to join this committee. And we also have NPEDC that I guess that has some new members at this point, or new members that will be coming on. Is that July 1st or is that in effect currently?
I believe that starts July 1st. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Right.
Hold on, why are we involved with NP and EDC?
There's a board member that is ex officio on here that that resigned from participating here.
It's been so long.
I know. I
We
also
don't have, there aren't any, there are really very few new members. There's 1 new member, that's it, at the moment. So I'll circle back with the new chairman who I'm having lunch with next week and ask her to get a grip on this. She
Right.
may do it herself, but I'll talk to Abby.
Very much
Get her to do
appreciate that,
something.
Linda. Okay. It's our current structure and the way that we are, that is an open position, and
Nobody
it may-
applied for Dorothy's?
No. And like I said,
Okay,
I
people-
had lengthy conversations with 2 people, and I know that some of the other committee members also had approached, and I'm just disappointed because I thought that we had potential, but I will circle back because I think what will happen is after they go through the appointments that they have, they're going to have to open it again because it's not just the CRC. There are other open committee and, council positions that are open. So I think that they will have another application time and interview. So
That's a pretty sad commentary on volunteerism here.
It is.
I will say that the person that I talked to who ended up not applying gave me the feedback that it was just too much of a time commitment.
Not really, and we have good staff. I always, when I approach people, I tell them it's like once a month. It's a little bit more like CPC, a little bit more when we have deadlines and interviews. But otherwise, we have great staff that does everything. Because back in the day, people didn't necessarily have staff. Because I was the secretary, I did the meetings and a lot of my stuff because we didn't have staff. We have staff that takes over and tells us what to do and when to show up. That makes a big difference to when you're trying to get people to come on a committee, that they don't have to do anything but do their board, their stuff, at the meetings. And
Right.
that takes a lot of the onus off, oh, I don't have time kind of crap.
Well, I don't disagree, Linda, but if you haven't been involved with the way it used to be and you only know with what it is, like me, I've only been in what it is. And it's still a big commitment. Like we wouldn't be doing 3 meetings and grants in June.
Yeah,
That's not what's in the writing up of what this committee is.
no,
No, but that's a little bit of an unusual evolution there.
yeah, and on my end, that has been something that has been on my mind for the last 2 or 3 years. When I first started in this position, we were doing maybe 12 to 14, maybe 16 meetings, much more densely packed in just one part of the year. The total time commitment, if you add up the length of the videos of this committee meeting, these committee meetings has about doubled since I began. That's because we've done a lot more stuff and we've been allocating more money and we've been more involved and been improving our output. It's also a period of pretty significant change, but reducing the volunteer time commitment has been something that I've been working on, trying to figure out ways to do. This opioid grant application came out of nowhere, and that's like another 14 hours, 15 hours worth of meeting time that we've had put together for it. So it's not typical, but we have been spending more time on this committee as a whole. Everybody has.
Yeah.
And I've been talking with Maureen about spinning off work groups. I've been trying to figure out ways to kind of maximize the efficiency of committee member time. And then I've also been trying to figure out ways that we can simplify or organize things so that even if it is a larger commitment of time, it's an easier use of time. But it's hard to do that while you're drastically changing the grant process. So it's slow going.
For sure. Like it's not that, and I want to make clear, I do appreciate the efforts we're putting in to make things better, and we are improving the process, and we are, meeting the needs of the community, I think, better. It's a commitment that isn't portrayed on the description of what this committee is.
And it's a lot more than my other 2 committees, Council of Human Services and Council on Aging, are pretty strictly once a month. We've had emergent ones and they have been occasionally long meetings, but they're not the same amount of time as this does. And we do need to work on that. Because, it's difficult for us to maintain quorum. It's difficult for us to have like a lot of meetings in short periods of time. We're all busy people and there's a lot happening. So we have to try and figure out a way to manage that too. That's been a concern of mine for a while. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I concentrated on finding either newly retired or retired people that had a good business background and are involved with doing some volunteer work. So initially people said to me, well, I really don't know about what's happening in human services, but I encourage that, you will learn that and you will, but apply skills that you have. So I'm going to put the net out again and see who we can find. And but it is important that we, as an example, if, we don't have, our quorum is 4, and if, we have 2 people, they can't make it, we're sunk. And we do have to, our meetings mostly have decisions that have to be made, and whether it's a deliberation that impacts a whole bunch of things, so we need to have quorum. So Linda, if you can approach NPEDC and see if we could get the new chair, that would be fabulous. And
She will make somebody do it. I can tell you that now.
Yeah. So appreciate that very much. And, if everyone else can continue thinking of that at-large position, we, hopefully we'll get 2 new people joining us in the next month or so, because I really don't want to go into the next cycle without having a robust committee. Appreciate the folks that we have here, without a doubt, but if one or two just can't make it because life happens, we're sunk. So we need to have a full committee.
Yep.
All right. Any other new business? All right. Linda, I just want to, I heard that you are actively involved with, the ice sweep that took place and locating and whatever. So appreciate your work on that. And I think, it's
Disgusting.
it's horrible. It's horrible, so we are not immune. This stuff has been happening all over the country, and we and the Cape and Islands are no longer immune. And I'm thinking of our needs assessment that will be done, and the impact of this on the needs assessment may give us some interesting insight, because it may add additional needs that we have, without a doubt. But more power to you, and thank you. All right, so we established our next meeting date, which will be June 6th for interviews, and then June 27th after that for the deliberation. Anything else?
Next week is still 9 o'clock, right?
Yes, 9 a.m.
Okay.
9 a.m. And probably it will be 9 a.m. a little bit longer. Probably will go almost to 11, because we'll have an hour of just the interviews, and then we will have hopefully a rough draft of a letter that we'll put together so we can review that also. All right, with any, yes.
On that, for the interviews, when I describe them, I will, and this is a question, I'm just phrasing it like it's a statement. I'll ask them to prepare a 5-minute description and then reserve 5 to 10 minutes of question and answer time. Is that acceptable?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Honestly, having read the grants, for the most part, they're pretty straightforward. So I think 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes for us to question. If we do them every 10 minutes or maybe 15 with just a breather in between, we won't have people overlapping. All right. And there's only 6. And actually,
5 of all.
five. And there were 2 from one organization. So, but they're going to have to separate their presentation, because it is prevention and treatment. All right. All right. With no more new business or any comments, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Second. Okay. With a roll call here, we've got John.
You're muted, John.
Just do a thumbs up.
Okay. Did we get a thumbs up from John?
John, just raise your hand.
There we
Thumbs
go.
up.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, John. All right. Linda?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Joanna?
Aye.
And myself, a big aye for that. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and
Too.
keep the faith, All righty.
Thanks, Veronica. I hope Carrie feels better.
Thank you.
Yeah, for
Alrighty.
sure.
All right.
All right.
Be
All
well,
right.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Bye.
All right.